You've got it locked to New York's best talk radio, HTLA Radio 1, New York.
Thank you all. Yes, today is Monday, and today is March 9th. I'm not a fan of the 9 days, but today I'm happy because today it brought the ending of the cold weather to our region. Finally, breaking some higher numbers. If you can hear me, then you are listening to Straight Talk with your host, this intellectual Kate Taylor, and her co-host, the stupendously spring in his step, not even snow time melting can stop it, Christopher Crash Jesus Taylor. This is HTLA Radio 1, the world's best talk radio on the world's first all brilliantly exceptional, all utterly original talk entertainment programming ever.
Is this thing on?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's on. Is this on? I can't tap it. I would tap it, but I won't do that. So.
There you go.
That's
well.
Right. Only one, Meeps. That's us. The only one, HTLA Radio 1 New York, and you're here and you're listening. And this is Straight Talk. And, yeah, we've got 90 minutes of springtime in the city stories for you tonight. And, yeah, lots of social injustice stories. I'm in the mood for ranting. We said we weren't going to do a rant show, but here we are, and it's going to turn into a rant show.
It is, yes.
I can't help but be angry about the stories. You know, there's just too much to be excited about. And everybody's got to bring us down with all this stuff.
Stupidity.
That's right. Yeah, well, we'll talk about that, too, because we've got a great show coming up for you that we've got in development for a little while now, and we're going to launch that Wednesday, and we'll talk about that a bit later. That's pretty exciting. That's called The Spotlight with Kate and Crash.
Absolutely. And tonight, a bit of a free-for-all. We're going to tear it up for you on tonight's Straight Talk. Everything from the day's events to some politics goodiness and the struggle, of course, to maintain home and work. We'll get into it all tonight. Also, the
stuff that I was talking about, the earlier stuff, the madness of springtime madness doesn't stop the stupidity.
The madness.
And the social injustice that, I guess it's all a matter of opinion, whether it's just or unjust, right?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah.
I would say so.
So we'll get into that, and I'm going to rant, and, keep listening, and then you'll be able to hear for yourself why we are the number one talk entertainment programming ever. Mm-hmm. There can be only one, and that one is this one. HTLA Radio 1.
I'm pretty sure it's got something to do with me.
I'm sure it does, too. You're the talent. You're the talent. I'm just the package.
You're the package.
I'm the package that your talent is wrapped up in.
What's in the... Ooh.
Ooh, yeah, that is kind of... We're going to have to do something with that. That's right.
Kind of gooey, yeah.
Uh-huh. Well, we've all got spring fever here now, so... it was a great, gorgeous day, and we took the opportunity to get out and play with the dog and walk the dog and do all that kind of fun stuff. And yeah.
Yes.
All right, so I didn't. They did.
Yes.
Daddy and the kids did, and I just stayed home and worked. And that's why part of the show we're going to talk about tonight is balancing that homework balance thing. And is it possible?
Exactly. Well, and with I just think that's kind of a timely thing for us to talk about tonight, actually, is that whole, how we're so traditional and woman in the home taking care of the kids, taking care of the house.
Right.
But then we're also progressive in the sense that you work full-time as well with me, and you're able to manage that. I wanted to get into that a little bit tonight. if only for a segment, just to kind of put it out to the listening public there, kind of, how we do it, firstly, but also secondly, that it's not without its trials and tribulations.
Oh, God, no.
But that, this whole thing with Hillary Clinton today, changing her Twitter profile because
she should change it to twatter. Sorry. That's not a bad word. I can say that, right?
Well, apparently there was no beep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, but she should.
Well, we're going to look at that stuff a little bit more in depth for y'all.
Sounds good. And any other further information, of course, as always, you can find it www.htlaradio1.com. That's the number 1, just like us. And right, I've got a new Twitter. Speaking of Twitter,
you do, yeah,
I do.
You went and did this because you.
Well, Twitter said I wasn't me. And now I can't get to my volume of lovely, tweeps to tweet with me anymore. So I had to get a new Twitter. And it's Kate Taylor HTLA. So at Kate Taylor HTLA is the new Twitter. And I can still read at Fierce Kitty Kate, but I won't be responding to you on that Twitter. So
until I get enough time to get back into it again for
try and fix it, right? Well, thankfully, the majority of my at Fierce Kitty Kate followers have already followed me on Kate Taylor HTLA.
Oh, okay,
right.
All right.
So it's cool. Eventually they'll catch on. We'll keep putting it out that there's the new one and such, and hopefully we can get it remedied. But right, so that's my new Twitter, and the station's Twitter is.
At HTLA Radio 1.
Nice. At HTLA Radio 1, right? Because, you handle all that, so usually. And your Twitter is at Crash Talkin'. Mm-hmm. I remember that one.
Right.
I'm trying to get more into the Twitter things, like I promised. Right? I promised to tweet more.
Right.
So we've got all new phones coming this spring for our employees. We've got a new sexy package of smartphones coming for everybody, so I'll be tweeting on that once I get that.
That's pretty smart.
Well, that's the point of my getting back into the Twitter thing again, right? So I'm going to go less Facebook, more Twitter, more Instagram.
Right on.
Right on.
Okay, well, I do have to remind everybody that tonight's episode of Straight Talk, of course, is brought to you by the fine folks at Tim Hortons, New York City, now with 8 fine locations in the city to serve all your coffee and baked good needs. Also by Netflix Original Productions. Make it a Netflix night.
Yes.
It's a good thing it's not a webisode right now. I'm not wearing any pants.
That's right. It's that hot here.
And, of course, by PreSonus. We are a PreSonus broadcast studio here at Studio 2 in Manhattan. And, yes, of course, we cannot forget Fierce Kitty on the media.
Meow.
Yeah.
And I've done the Twitters, so we just got to remind everybody to be sure to be here every week because...
You never know who's going to show up on Straight Talk to talk straight.
That's right.
And I know we've been saying that for months now with absolutely...
And it's coming, though.
Nobody showing up to talk straight.
No, it's coming. It's coming. Spring hasn't officially sprung yet. Give us a chance now.
Well, fine.
Yes. No. It's going to be a good spring season. You'll see.
It is. It is. So I guess without further ado, let's get into this... lifestyle thing.
Well, wait a sec. We forgot one thing because, Straight Talk is...
Oh, and so it is. It is indeed...
Powered by Procast.
Oh, yeah. Can't forget me there. That's my big bit. That's my...
Well, the funny thing is, on all the other shows that I do for this station, we never forget it once. But on the shows that you're actually on, I completely forget it because you're here.
That's right. And you wanted to always get right into the meat because Straight Talk is so straight.
And meaty.
And meaty. Right. Exactly. Well, go on. You open because you know what you want to talk about. So.
Well, it's not really so much about opening. It's just more about, people.
The lifestyle thing you said.
People often, engage us about, you guys, you don't know what you're talking about because, you can't live a traditional life and still be progressive and forward moving and have the woman working and have the kids managed and all that other good stuff.
Right.
And I thought that it would be, a good kind of maybe idea to kind of explain to the folks out there, just kind of how we do it.
Right.
And that, of course, we run into problems and time issues and all this kind of stuff.
Trial and error, like anything else.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I think really what the point is that I'm trying to make is that it's doable. And yes, it is a lot of work. Mm-hmm. Maybe in some cases more than not.
Yes.
But, it's still doable. And I think it's important because, like I've always said about, everybody wants the right but not the responsibility.
Right.
If all these women out there want equality and they want to be paid, not 70% of what men make, but 100% of what men make, they got to be willing to do the work. And so many professional businesswomen that I talk to, they do the work, but it's just the corporate work, and they think that's enough because, damn it, I've just put 12 hours a day in today in my job, and they feel deserving of something else, not to come home and take care of the kids, and not to come home and take care of the husband, and not to come home and take care of anything else.
Right. It's
time for them to kick their feet up now and go hit the bars and relax or something because they've earned it.
Right.
And I'm here to say that as a man, we do that all the time. We always have. We go out and work our full-time jobs or more.
Right.
And we come home and we're still expected to be the dad. We're still expected to help the kids with the homework. We're still expected to have activities and stuff with our family and have that interaction and put that time in.
Sure.
Maybe that's why we get 100% of our pay instead of 70% of our pay.
Right. Well, you're not. Well, in the tradition now, men are also expected to do half the housework and half of all that stuff, whereas it used to just be before, the garbages and the lawns and all that stuff that you do, the man stuff, So, yes, and unfortunately, in some cases, in a great majority of the households now, more often than not, the women are working and, I have so many, friends that I know that their husbands take care of the kids and drop the kids at school and do the school activities and do the projects and wash the clothes and do all that. But with that comes the dreaded beta male, because there's not a single one of those men that I have met that I would look up to in battle. No, of course not. And this is to our thinking, to our thinking. And while it took us years in practice, it was an ideology that we shared from the moment that we met anyway. Yeah. The whole, that was our vision for what the ideal family was. And both of us coming from kind of screwed up situations. I had two parents that lived together and were home and were raised, in that situation. But it wasn't the idealist either. Whereas he was raised by a single mom. But we both had an idea of what a family should be. And, psychologically and all that other stuff, we also knew what was best for every family member, to be their whole selves and 100% of what they could be, too. Attaining it is a whole different matter.
Yeah.
And our particular circumstance actually pretty much demanded that we start our own business and work from home together because of the way that our lives went once we got married. But it worked out anyway because, prior to meeting, I was a single mother for 10 years after I divorced my first husband, and, G was only 16 weeks old. And I pretty much raised her alone. So I had the benefit of both worlds, knowing what it was like to be a single mother. And then now I have a husband, and we're going to make this traditional family thing a go, but we're also going to build a company together from scratch and, and build everything from scratch, really.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, it was pretty much trial and error, and I'm sure it isn't for everyone. But, I think a great deal of the problem is that less and less are willing to try, and that it's just easier for, whomever gets the better salary to go to work and the other parent take the brunt of the kids or the housework or whatever it is also.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing is the thing that kind of strikes me is that, and it was this Hillary story at Coffee and Cigarettes today that kind of clued me in.
Right.
Because they're saying, for the fifth decade, women are still fighting for equality.
Right.
And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, if you haven't made your point and and made some effective change in 50 years,
Right.
what makes you think anything's going to happen in another 50?
Right.
And, I mean, yes, okay, now women have won the right to work, and women have won the right to vote, and women have won the right to do this, that, and the next thing. But they've also apparently won the right to bitch and go on for another 4 decades about how they're not getting paid the same, and none of this is the same, and we're supposed to be the same.
That's kind of the point, and this is the thing. And I'm going to say this once. Yesterday was International Women's Day, so that's what prompted Hillary's decision, and this is also what prompted this particular segment, which probably is going to last more than one segment, knowing me. Now, here's the thing: you're not the same. Okay, let's just everybody pay attention. Stop what you're doing. Write this down. Write it on your forehead backwards. Women and men are not the same. Full stop. Not in any way, not in any shape, not in any form. First of all, everybody on the planet has 99% the same DNA. It's only that 1% that separates us.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that we're the same. Not even remotely. Okay, there's a reason that men are the hunters and the protectors and the authoritarians, and there's a reason that the women are traditionally the nurturers and the gatherers and the childbearers and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
We're wired by nature to be that way. And just because over the last 3 or 4 decades, or 4 or 5 now, I might say, I keep forgetting how many has gone by, the drug and the free love age and all that other crap allowed feminism to slip in the back door and screw all that up, doesn't change the fact that by nature we're wired to be these things in these roles.
Right.
Now, I'm talking about straight men and women because, same-sex couples, that's a whole nother animal. But what have I always said? I don't care if you're 2 mommies, 2 daddies, 2 monkeys. You need an authoritarian and you need a nurturer. One of you has to be 100% of each. You can't be 80% authoritarian and 20% nerd. It doesn't work that way.
No.
You have to be 100% each. Just like in a marriage, in a real one, you have to be 100% of whatever role you are in each. There's no such thing as 50-50.
That really bugs her.
There is no such thing as 50-50. There's 100% each in your own way. Full stop. That's it. And that's it. And you need to designate that right from the get-go. And sure, circumstances change. And, I have an amazing husband, and not everybody is as lucky as me to have a husband who's a man. But then when I'm sick, he'll do whatever needs to be done to take care of stuff and take care of me and all that other kind of stuff. And I think that all this crap got started because it was less about women needing to do and say and blah, blah, blah. Then they were getting crappy arranged marriages and they were picking the wrong men for them. And, they weren't getting their needs fulfilled and all this kind of stuff like that.
Right. Yeah.
Leaving your kids to fend for themselves while you go out and do whatever it is you need to do isn't the answer, because now we've got 3 generations of kids that have been raised by themselves and by television and by now the internet and all this other stuff and their friends. And take a look around you, people. It's not working. It's not working, and that's it. That's what we're saying. And more, even of our celebrity friends and things like that. Who else, too? Candace Cameron Bure. Mm-hmm. She's a very vocal proponent of being a submissive wife and not, just sexually like 50 Shades of Grey, grow up, to the fact that, you're there to build your husband up and support your husband and be that support for him, and not even a religious standpoint, because we're not religious. We were both raised Catholic, but we both long are lapsed and, probably because we both went to Catholic things.
I've decided to become Amish.
That's right, exactly.
I'm going to join the mafia.
Well, when we first met, it's probably still on my Facebook. It still says when it asks you what religion you are that I worship at the altar of Christ.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
remember?
Yeah.
So there you go. But, just in that sense that women should be traditionally that support for their husbands. And, women don't know how to, build their husbands up and let them be the heads of the family and let them be the men.
Or they don't care to.
Well, that's the thing.
The other thing that I have noticed more and more, especially in the last 20 years, is everybody in their individualism has broken off so much to the point that not that they're any less social with each other, but they really certainly care a lot less about each other
Right.
in things that are beyond just the surface.
Right.
So, and I think when you see divorce rates like we see and have seen, I mean, they're still rising as time goes on, and as more and more, of these kids who have essentially raised themselves in the last 30 years, the more they're
no
moving
examples.
on now. No.
Right.
No. So you've got situations where, this girl might marry this guy, and it might all be great for, the 6 months or whatever. And then inevitably within that 2 years, the failure rate's like, 89% or something stupid. And it boils down to those kind of things. If you actually look at what they argue about and what they fight about and what they break up over, they're all just surface things.
Right, exactly.
And because of all that kind of stuff, that's making me think more and more that, again, it's that thing where everybody wants the rights and not the responsibilities. Pretty much full stop.
You can't, and you can't blame the last couple generations either, because nobody raised them. In your very rare instances, when you have two parents together and one is the authoritarian and one is the nurturer, and you agree not to step on each other's toes in that regard. Sure, our dad's not supposed to hug and kiss, and of course, don't be stupid. You
can't now, or you're diddling your kids.
Well, no, I don't go for any of that stuff, and you know that. I mean, I think that's really...
No, but I'm saying this is what society pegs you as.
I mean, I don't even buy that. I think that's just another excuse for their failings.
Okay.
And that's that, right? Growing up, all the boys and, my brother hugged and kissed my father and all that stuff. And we kiss our kids and hug each other. You have to be that way too, but they also know there's a line you don't cross with dad either. That's just the way
beatings will ensue.
Well, yeah, exactly. So there's none of that kind of respect or authority anymore because of all that kind of stuff. And there's no more respect for a loving connection and, nurturing that loving connection. Kids don't care if they hurt their parents' feelings anymore.
No, and you see, when I was a teenager, I keep hearing this argument from everybody, especially when it comes to raising kids. Everybody says, oh, well, they're teenagers.
Well, we
they're
have
teenagers.
two now.
They're
So
teenagers.
You mean me. You keep hearing that from me. Just say what you mean. There you go.
It's
Right.
Kate's fault.
Yes.
That's all I ever hear. Well, they're teenagers. They're teenagers. Well, excuse me, miss, but when we were teenagers, we rebelled and we had our individual expression and all that other crap. We played the Aussie and bit the heads off bats, and it was fun. And we got labeled by the press and we got labeled by our parents as
Sure.
Satanic evildoers and all this other crap. Nowhere, anywhere in that equation did we go up to our mother or father and unload a verbal tirade that you would be hard pressed to find in prison.
Right. Yeah. No.
Which is what we have now. Which is when you, of course, come to me and say, "Well, they're teenagers." Well, no.
No, it's true. It's true. But see, I also chalk that up to the 10 years that.
It's almost like this is what it's almost like. In another 30 years, well, this kid came up and blew his dad's head off with a shotgun and then cut his mother in two with the other barrel because, well, he's just a teenager.
Well, you know what? They do that now. I mean, they still do that now. I'm not a fan of mitigating circumstances for when anybody commits a crime.
I'm saying that's what they'll use for a defense and actually get off, because by that point, it'll be just so accepted to be an outrageous teenager that you can do absolutely anything.
And here's the thing. Now, let's not digress too much. But the point was the International Women's Day thing. And as far as Nicaragua and everything now, in these places that are traditionally patriarchal, I know you've got these things going on, and they've had parades and stuff like that because to fight for the gender that's traditionally less paid and also has a less of a voice in policy making decisions. Well, you know what? They should, because there's as also a psychology major and study of bio, all this biophysics and neurology and all these things. It's not just a behavioral or a cognitive knowledge that I have. It's a neurologic knowledge. It's a developmental knowledge too. We're not wired the same. There are things that men handle, and the way they handle it is designed that way. Don't give me the women in war crap and all that stuff too, because, and I don't just say this on principle as, because, everybody that knows me and knows this argument, which once they actually sit down and speak with me, don't really have an argument, because I'm not anti-feminist. I'm pro-femininity. And everybody has lost that concept. There was a time and place for feminism. It needed to be done. We needed the right to vote. We needed the right to not have our marriages arranged by our fathers anymore. We needed to be able to be educated, because we needed to be better mothers, not because we needed to be men.
Right.
We needed to be better mothers and better wives and better supports for our husband and better individuals for ourselves, and better parents to raise our children better, But for some bizarre reason, it became about being men and replacing them and doing their job and no longer having them be necessary. And forget what it's done to the generations of girls that don't know how to be real women anymore. That they're choosing when to have their babies, and even when they're pregnant, choosing what day to go into labor, because they're actually timing their being in labor and having the birth of their children around business meetings and things they need to do.
Well, and ultimately, isn't that taking the humanity out of being human?
Well, all of it is anyway, and don't even get me started with the gender fluidity and all this kind of stuff. And now there's how many choices that you can choose. You either have a penis and you're a male, or you have a vagina and you're a female.
Deal with it.
And that's it.
Yeah, there's 59 choices on Facebook right now for your gender, including the 59th choice, which is none of the above, and they'll give you a blank space. You can write in whatever you want.
Well, yeah, and we're going to talk more about that. We're overdrawn. We got to take our first commercial break, and we will be back in just 2 minutes.
Or it's free.
And you're listening to Straight Talk with Kate and Crash on HTLA Radio 1, New York.
What if there was a coffee that was sourced from some of the world's most renowned growing regions, abundant with rich, fertile soil? What if this coffee was picked at the perfect moment, then packed meticulously and shipped carefully to be roasted under the watchful eye of coffee masters? What if it was expertly blended, ground, and sealed, ensuring maximum flavor and freshness, then brewed in small batches and always served fresh within 20 minutes, just the way you like it? Now, what if this coffee just happened to be the coffee you already know and love? Tim Hortons, always fresh, always great tasting coffee.
White Rum has a new captain. Introducing the all-new Captain Morgan White Rum, 5 times distilled for a smoother taste.
When we arrived at our hotel in New York, the porter was so incredibly careless with our bags. And the room they gave us, it was beautiful. A broom closet. But the worst part was the shower. My wife drying herself with the Egyptian cotton towels. Shower curtain defined that whole vacation for her. Don't just visit New York. Visit TripAdvisor New York.
With millions of reviews, a visit to TripAdvisor makes any destination better.
I've been so inspired by being in New York because everything from what people are wearing on the street to the way they're interacting with each other, to drive through the West Village at night and you see a couple kissing on the street, or you see someone fighting outside their apartment, or you see so much humanity on a daily basis that even if you're not inspired by your own life that day, you can be inspired by someone else's life.
You got that long hair, slick back, white There's only one place to get more Taylor.
Man, I've been to a lot of places over these past 50 years. Seen the whole true north strong and free. 'Cause I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere. I've been to Cooksville, Stouffville, Bainesville, Bowmanville, Bonnieville, Unionville, Oakville, Dunville, Brockville, Boucherville, Melville, Drummondville, Kentville, Grenville, Morinville, Maryville, Parksville, Stephenville, Sackville, Spring Hill, Westville, Walkerville, hanging on a windowsill. Hey! He said, wow, that's a lot of places. I said, hang on, there's more. I've been to Monton, Picton, Shannon, Vernon, Stellarton, Hamilton, Nipigon, Nobleton, Yorkton, Brighton, Bolton, Beaverton, Brandon, Edmonton, Walkerton, Wyerton, Granby, Miramichi, Charlottetown, Burnaby, Yellowknife, Whitehorse, Corner Brook, none of it. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. I crossed the prairies bare, man. I breathed the mountain air. I've traveled, I've done my share, man. I've been everywhere, man. Check it out. Ottawa, Wawa, Mattawa, Chippewa, Moose Jaw, Oshawa.
You've got it locked to New York's best talk, HTLA Radio 1.
Oh, yes, you do.
Yes, you do, and oh my goodness. Well, the more I go through the photos of International Women's Day.
Welcome back to Straight Talk Mondays, of course, with your hosts, Kate and Crash. And tonight, of course, we're having the Springtime in the City free-for-all show on Straight Talk. Before we get into our celebrity guest interviews, which are coming up rather shortly, just a couple of more weeks now before they're here, and it all starts. 53 degrees still in Central Park tonight. Clear skies, and we're looking at upper 40s and lower 50s all week in the big city, finally.
Oh, wow.
So I think it's actually going to melt, go away.
Ugh, can't wait.
So welcome back to the big show, 8:55 in the PM right now in the big city for this Monday, 9th of March 2015. And, so just before the commercial break there, we were, of course, we weren't doing nothing. It was all Kate, and she was starting a rant, so I'll turn it back over to her to continue the rant.
Yes. Well, there's just so much hoopla. I mean, even in Madrid, the women that were marching for international, they have, like, knives and Jason hockey masks on with sayings, and they call themselves the Scum Girls.
What?
Yeah. No, yeah. Sears right there. Absolutely. And they don't even get it. They just don't even know what they're marching for anymore. They don't know what they're fighting for anymore. How many of these women go home and are like, yes, dear? And how many of them, do all this kind of stuff? And this is their big night out and stuff like that. Those gender roles and stereotypes are there for a reason. They're real. They're the truth.
Well, now, is that any different in Spain there? Is that any different than the blacks marching in Selma
against the bridge?
Over the KKK bridge, not even knowing what day they're supposed to be marching?
Yeah, oh gosh, I don't even want to go there because that's just as silly. It's all just as silly. There's too many more important things right now to worry about. And in India, where it's uber patriarchal, always will be.
Right.
You have these women that are marching / running in their tennis shoes and their saris and all this kind of stuff for rights. Sure, there's a lot of stuff in the world in the patriarchal system that's not okay. But it's been like that for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And when you look at every other society, even the third world ones, when it comes to happiness and when it comes to intactness and things like that.
Well, I was going to say, especially the third world ones, because they're more to the basic human condition than the developed world.
And you know what the irony is? They think, I don't know why, they think that this is going to eradicate, exploitation and abuse and stuff. And how many years? 50 now?
50,
well,
yeah.
Plus it started way back with,
Rosie the Riveter.
No, it started even way before then with suffrage, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not going to fix any of that stuff. And now we're even seeing, the broken rainbow, which is, the support groups for the, the gay and lesbian communities now, that the same-sex domestic abuse in marriage now. So you got to be kidding me. Everything is going to stay the way it always has because that's the way it's supposed to be. And I didn't write it, and I didn't make it that way.
No.
And, the Bible didn't even make it that way because that's just a recollection of some old men's stories. So I'll give you that. But whatever. The point of the matter is you're wasting time on stuff that could be better spent.
Yeah.
Develop yourself individually. Make yourself the best you can be. Then raise your kids to be the best you can be. They can be. And here's another problem that we have. Like we were talking about with the kids, there's no examples anymore. Forget about what it's done to the generations of girls who don't know how to be real mothers anymore.
That's right. And back in my day, we had, role models for boys like Michael Jackson.
Oh, gosh. No, but I'm being serious. I know, you're all funny in that, but this is Straight Talk, damn it. This is serious.
I know.
And you know how serious I am about all this stuff. But it's forget about what we've done to the generations of girls. Men do not know how to be fathers and husbands because you don't let them.
Well, and that's why I think more and more of them run away from that.
And that's true, too. And, if you wouldn't mind getting a little personal for a minute, I mean, it was years before, my husband accepted that he wanted the traditional marriage and family situation because the responsibility was just something that was, so foreign, having been single for so long and all these kind of things. And, he just didn't. It wasn't because he didn't want it. Everybody wants it. That's the dream. That's what everybody says they work for and everybody says they want. But because they aren't trained for it or aren't even exposed to it growing up, they can't handle it. And it was always so infuriating to me because he was absolutely the best, most natural husband and father ever, but because he fought it so hard, it made life very difficult.
Yeah.
Until he finally sucked it up and said, but that's the problem that we have. There's no examples for boys to be husbands and fathers. And, they feel completely lost in their roles in that way. And then the women are just so all about themselves. They don't help them and support them and build them up like they should.
Yeah.
And, try and support them to be, there's a great book that I read, and it's a little too religious for most people's taste, but it's called Finding the Hero in Your Husband. And it was really eye-opening. You don't realize that your job as a wife isn't just to cook and do your wifely duties and all these things. It's to, know when your husband, especially when they are real men and doing the things they're supposed to be doing, to be able to recognize when they need support and stuff too, and be there for them because, but those are things that I tell my daughters all the time, this is how boys are. And, don't think that this is going to happen because boys do this and they think this way. And, because they're wired to think differently than women are.
Right.
But yet women, well, we're all equal. So, now he has to do what I say and do things. And you can speak to that better than I can.
Well, and it's really, in as much as women get paid 70% of what men do, men now really get 70% of the say in real world interaction.
Very, very good
Thank
point.
you.
I think it's even less than that. Because women use that card. Well, I work and I got to do. Now you should do more around the house and because I'm working too. And I work too, lady. I work too.
Well, my question sort of has always been, what the hell does work have to do with it?
Yeah, work
what,
is one
what does
thing.
it matter if you're doing dishes or if you're bringing in $60,000 a year?
It doesn't.
There's no difference. Both jobs need to be done.
That's right. That's right.
So they want equality. I would submit that before this movement even ever took root, there was equality. All of those things are equally as important.
Well, right.
There's equality right there.
Right. Okay, fine. But you speak to me about how when men have to stay home and do women's jobs for whatever reason, it emasculates them. They don't, because they're not wired that way. They're not wired to be home in the kitchen. They're wired to be out fighting for the, elevation and protection of their family. And when they're not given the opportunity to do that, things die inside of them. And that's just the way it is. And I don't care who you are as a woman, but, unless you're like really that, C word, who's only super out for themselves and all that kind of stuff. When you can't spend that time with your kids, or when your kid learns to read and you miss it, or when your, kid learns to do this or that and you miss it, something dies in you as a woman too.
And they don't even notice.
And, well, that's what I'm saying. It depends. You don't get those things back again. And it's those moments that are going to determine, the fate of the next generations and how your kids raise their kids and all that kind of stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, and I've also seen firsthand what happens when a kid is raised in a single parent family and then has a whole one. Sure, the problems are still there and they're tough, and you're going to have it's going to be a little bit of a struggle at first too, because they're used to doing whatever they want, and now there's a structure and there's a, you can't get away with it because, so-and-so doesn't and all this other stuff. But the security level and the blossoming, and it's just a completely different thing. Like you said, you knew from the first minute you got here what she needed. And, okay, so I fought for many years because I was in the habit of giving in because I felt guilty because I was a single parent. And, now that I'm not and I don't interfere anymore, things are different and they're as they should be. Kids have their place in their own bodies, in their own families, in their own worlds. And in this one, when they have the benefit of an authoritarian and a nurturer, when they have both wholes.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Well, we got to go for our second commercial break, but when we come back, I want to kind of not really deviate from this topic, but get more into the practical day-to-day stuff.
Right,
because I think
it is tough, yeah.
Well,
how do you do it?
Aside from tough, everything's tough, but I think with how we do it, I think, it works. Right. Yes, right. It's a lot more.
Most of the time.
it's a lot more work. Yes, but
sure.
I think overall it does work. So we'll get into more of that when we come back.
And you're listening to Straight Talk with Kate and Crash on HTLA Radio 1, New York.
Good morning. Welcome to Tim Hortons Cafe and Bake Shop, where fresh always tastes better. What can I make you this morning?
How about our new flatbread breakfast paninis? Made fresh, just for you, with your favorite breakfast ingredients on maple or multigrain flatbread, then grilled to hot, melted perfection. Just $2.99. Who couldn't warm up to that?
Tim Hortons Cafe and Bake Shop, where quality really does meet value.
I stood outside assessing the situation. I knew it could be rough in there, but how rough? There was no way to know for sure.
Hey, guys.
Daddy, it's pink!
But hey, a new house, it's a blank canvas, and we got a great one, thanks to a really low mortgage rate from Navy Federal Credit Union.
Pink?
So she's a princess. You got a problem with that?
Hoorah!
Hoorah! 4 million members, 4 million stories. Navy Federal Credit Union.
You walked into the hotel as a 5. But when she saw the room, you turned into a weird 7. When she saw the rooftop pool, you went to 11. You two should probably get a room. Oh, that's right. You already did. At Planet Earth's #1 accommodation site, Booking.com. Booking.yeah.
I've been so inspired by being in New York because everything from what people are wearing on the street to the way they're interacting with each other, to drive through the West Village at night and you see a couple kissing on the street, or you see someone fighting outside their apartment, or you see so much humanity on a daily basis that even if you're not inspired by your own life that day, you can be inspired by someone else's life.
You got that long hair, slicked back, white t-shirt, and I got that good girl face and a tight little skirt. And when we go crashing down, we come back every time, 'cause we never go out, we never go out, we never go out of style. Take me
There's only one place to get more Taylor.
Man, I've been to a lot of places over these past 50 years. Seen the whole true north strong and free. 'Cause I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere. I've been to Cooksville, Stouffville, Bainesville, Bowmanville, Bonneville, Unionville, Oakville, Dunville, Brockville, Boucherville, Melville, Drummondville, Kentville, Grenville, Morinville, Maryville, Parksville, Stephenville, Sackville, Spring Hill, Westville, Walkerville, hanging on a windowsill. Hey! He said, wow, that's a lot of places. I said, hang on, there's more. I've been to Moncton, Picton, Shannon, Vernon, Stellarton, Hamilton, Nipigon, Nobleton, Yorkton, Brighton, Bolton, Beaverton, Brandon, Edmonton, Walkerton, Wyerton, Granby, Miramichi, Charlottetown, Burnaby, Yellowknife, Whitehorse, Corner Brook, Nunavut. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. I crossed the prairies bare, man. I breathed the mountain air. I've traveled, I've done my share, man. I've been everywhere, man. Check it out. Ottawa, Wawa, Mattawa, Chippewa, Moose Jaw, Oshawa.
We're New York's best talk radio, HTLA Radio 1.
Well, just like the girl says, you are listening to HTLA Radio 1, New York's best talk. 52 degrees in Central Park right now, nice and clear. And look at that, we're not all going to die anymore. Finally, for the first time in, 5 months?
I'm so excited. It's going to rain tomorrow, and everybody knows who knows me. Rain is my favorite thing in the world. Second favorite thing in the world. Yes.
Well, there you go. So, before the break, we were talking, of course, about, the traditional roles versus the roles of today, and society just being screwed up in general, and how it's just gotten more so in, I would say, the last 30 years. And what is this you're reading about? I'm giving up my baby because he's black?
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll get to that if we get to it before the end of the segment. But it's just one of the results now of all this kind of stuff like that. I mean, she chose to have sex with a black man, and when she found out she was pregnant, she decided that she didn't want to raise a black baby, as a white woman,
right? As
a white single woman, because she didn't want to marry the father.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And,
Yeah, right, because we were going to get into the more, I guess, specific aspects of how, we, as a couple in this day and age, happen to handle work and life and home and
right.
work and life
and
home.
I just need to interject one thing quickly before you say that, because there's other things that I guess go into the beginning. I also I was married when I had my children, both of my children, and I also didn't live with a man I wasn't married to, so I didn't do that sort of thing. I didn't, I wasn't like that. I grew up in a generation, the last of those kind of generations too, where you just didn't do that sort of thing. And I think having that foundation, don't get me wrong, I was crazy. I grew up in the entertainment industry. I mean, don't get me wrong, I wasn't a prude or anything like that. God, far from it. But, there was that moral line that I wasn't going to cross either. You had children when you were married and you had a family, and that was it.
Sure.
You know, and that's it. So, right. But, so anyway, back to us. We have this traditional life.
Well, I mean, we've basically developed a system where we can kind of cover every single base and still go through life perfectly happy. Partly, I guess it may be to do with the particular lifestyle we've chosen to live as a couple.
Right. I don't have
but I'm thinking, more like, I guess the specifics of our day. Like, for example, every morning when I wake up, she's giving me head.
You can't say that on Straight Talk. Oh my goodness.
Yes, I can. I didn't say you were blowing me.
Oh my goodness.
That's what I wake up to every morning is a nice blowjob, right?
Oh my goodness. See, I told you I wasn't a prude, just on the air.
But I mean, that's the way I want to be woken up in the morning, and that's what you do for me. And then, we get up and we move on with our day in whatever direction. But, pretty much from that morning wake up, everything else is scheduled, and the schedule is full in the sense that it handles or it encompasses all of the work duties every day for the both of us.
Right.
It encompasses it encompasses the duties in the home, the house cleaning, the housework, that kind of thing. It includes things like, the house maintenance and all that other good stuff. It includes most importantly includes time for the kids.
Right.
Both one-on-one and group activities and that kind of thing.
Yes.
We have, through our week, you can pretty much tell what day it is through our week just based on what we're doing. For example, the Friday nights there we have the movie night.
Yep.
Sundays we have family day.
Yep. Sundays family.
Saturdays
are our time to hang out. No work, just whatever we want to do. I do laundry and housework too, but no work.
No. And I mean, but what I'm saying is that you and I have we're both reasonable, mature adults, and we figured out very early in the onset of our relationship together and the kids and everything else that we had to consider, we pretty much figured out a system whereby we could achieve all of that. And then, as you've said before, and as you've proven to me since, the more we do our schedules and the more we stick to them, the easier they get. Yeah, the quicker we're getting other things done. We're being more efficient with our time.
Right.
We're finding more amounts of time that are free for other things that we hadn't originally considered, all that kind of stuff. And now I'll grant you that, yes, it is different when you own your own business and you're doing your own thing.
You're home together and you work together.
But
he doesn't help. Like, let's not get confused. The whole point is the fact that I take care of the house, even though I work full time here too in the studio, and I do that. My house and my home come first.
Right.
I'm a wife and a mother first. The work comes second, although, the kids do know that, mommy has a show at 8 o'clock on Mondays and Wednesdays and whatever it is. And, but the kids pitch in. I have 2 teenage daughters. They babysit Tristan, the little one. And, I'm sure that'll continue should any others come along. And, everybody has their chores, but we tried that he would help and do the dishes and do all these other things. And it just didn't work for us because I didn't feel like I was doing my job as a wife and a mother.
Right.
And that came first. So we developed a system where I can do all my housework, and I do most of it on the weekends too. Now, and don't get me wrong, before... This is the only house that I've lived in that I haven't had a housekeeper. And we're going to go back to that when we move to our new house this summer. So, because, it's much bigger too. And we have much more work things. So that's going to be put in there too. But when I had Tristan, I just, I'm always with the kids. I've never left my kids with a babysitter or whatever. Never had a nanny or anything.
No.
I've had a housekeeper those times that I've needed it. When I lived in New York, when I had my other house. But... here I didn't need it, and I didn't want anybody to be with my kids but me. Yeah,
and by having a housekeeper to do those house tasks, that freed you up to give more time to the kids, right?
Right, that's true. And it took me a long time to develop a system in which the house maintenance was easy breezy now.
Yeah.
That I can just 1, 2, 3 keep it and, still have all that time with the kids. But it wasn't always easy. Because situations change, and anybody who has kids knows that, one day is never the same from the next.
Right.
But as much as possible, we stick to the schedule. And the one thing we've always done consistently from day one is what?
Beat the children?
6 o'clock dinner as a family every night. No matter what. It doesn't matter what anybody's doing. It doesn't matter, who's got what's going on. We don't schedule anything between 6 and 7 p.m. because that's our time together.
Right.
And that was a huge thing for us. That was the rock,
Yeah.
And God forbid, there was a time, after I had Tristan, I was only out of the loop for a couple days before I was back at it. But, I had the flu once for like a week and, and you were great. You cooked and took care of everything, but it just wasn't the same. It just wasn't right. And everybody was just like, because like everything slows to a halt, Well. But no, he doesn't do the women's housework stuff unless I'm sick. And, I don't do the man stuff anymore like I used to when I was single. I don't take the garbage out. I don't do any of that. I don't speak to the contractors and people that come to the house. I don't take care of the bills or stuff. That's all.
I'd pay real money to see you do the lawn.
Yes. No. I never did that. I always hired a gardener or a landscaper or whatever.
Yeah.
No, I never did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, right, don't you agree that helps to keep you feeling, more as you should?
Sure.
As the husband and head of the house, too.
Yeah.
So I feel really bad for husbands that are rooked into, doing that kind of stuff, because I can't imagine it makes them feel too...
No.
Productive, maybe, like they should be doing something else, or I don't know.
Well, and they could be, I'm not just talking about things like doing dishes or whatnot, or mowing the lawn or that kind of thing, but where have some of the old crafts gone? I mean, I know a lot of guys. I go into their garages. There's not woodworking shops there. They're not making furniture for the home anymore. They're not.
Us, yeah.
They don't do that kind of stuff. And I just a friend of mine back in British Columbia, there, Forrest. His dad actually started a furniture business, and I went to Forrest's workshop there one time, and what did I find? I found a bunch of guys, I think he had 7 or 8 employees at the time, and they're all there making furniture and stuff. You go to their house, and of course they got workshops in their own garages, and they make furniture for their own houses, and they make them for their friends and all this kind of, and men don't have those skills anymore, partly because, heaven forbid, we can't teach them woodworking and metalwork and stuff in school. They'll kill themselves now.
They do. The girls take them more than the boys do now, and you got the boys taking home ec and doing all that other kind of stuff.
Well, because they got to prepare.
Ugh.
They got to be the house bitch, right?
Yes. Well, we've got since I was an interior designer for so long, we're doing the woodworking shop, and I have my workshop and all that kind of stuff. And you're really excited to, look into doing all that stuff and building furniture pieces, specific ones.
Yeah.
But also, the kids want a tree house, and you're also going to build a boat. It's something that you've always wanted to do.
Tristan and I are going to build a sailboat. Yes, we are.
And Gia and Daddy are going to build a tree house. That's what she's always wanted. She's
always wanted a sniper tower.
All right, well, whatever. It's going to be a tree house for the kids, so. She can call it whatever she wants, but it'll be a tree house.
Right.
And I do all that stuff. Actually, she's teaching me sewing because, I've had a sewing machine for years, and even when I studied interior design, I never got to the point where I actually sewed my own curtains or draperies or textiles or anything like that.
Right.
I always outsourced all that stuff. But she's actually teaching me now because she had home ec in her last year.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. So, but true, that's how we do it. We have a very, very strict schedule. Everything is pretty much scheduled to the minute.
Yeah.
And, we are, like we say, fortunate, though, that we get to work from home and be here. It's just in another building.
Well, true, but house. I mean, that's when you say that, though, that's kind of a cop-out statement, but because to me, your life requires your effort.
Well, true.
And if you're working in Burger King or something, and you're working 2 jobs, you're working at Burger King and Walmart because you need to pay your bills, and maybe you are a single parent and all that good stuff. That's where I would say you need to stop and reevaluate everything in your life, not just
you have to have time for other things.
Not your kid, not your situation, not the jobs, not the this, not the that. You need to take it way back. You need to look at yourself from the beginning. How did you get on this path where you're having to work 2 jobs,
right?
And they're both minimum wage. What happened there? And how come maybe you are a single parent? What happened there?
Right.
There's reasons to everything, but I think it's because we don't explore what those reasons were and how we reacted to them and what choices we made from them.
Right, the whole self-examination thing. Right, you need to do that.
Sure. This is something that I've just learned in the last 4 years or so.
And very quickly and well, he learned, I might add.
Well, because it kind of made sense, and with my particular situation 5 years ago, I sometimes I did wake up in the morning and go, well, how the hell did I get here?
Right. No, I know.
I used to do this. I used to do that. I used to make that much money. I used to have this, that, the next thing. Where did it all go?
Right.
And it wasn't until you came along, kind of opened my eyes to that, and I started actually stopping and looking back at those things and going, geez, yeah, well, that was a mistake. Well, why did I do that? That was clearly not the way to go, but I did it. Why?
Right.
I don't think anybody does that anymore. I don't think...
We're too busy. We have our face in electronics and all this kind of stuff to, be bothered learning how to properly assess why we do the things we do so we don't repeat those stupid behaviors or learn about ourselves fully. It comes with the first thing that's the hardest thing, and that's the honest self-assessment. Most people are unwilling to take responsibility for their bad decisions and own them and admit that the stuff that's happened to them has 90% of the time been caused by their own choices and how they reacted to stuff.
Right.
So until you can do that, though, there's no fixing anything because you're only going to...
So even if our listeners right now, if we got some couples out there who are married and do have kids and do struggle with these issues, even if they... right now, tonight, sat down and wrote up a schedule for themselves to work as a family unit and started that tomorrow, it's still not going to fix anything because they still need to do that self-examination.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because you need, like you just said a minute ago, how did they get there? I mean, what was it that both of them are okay with, everybody doing piecemeal stuff and there isn't a schedule? And if there's kids, you have to have a schedule.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. The kids aren't going to grow up well without a schedule. Children need a routine to flourish. They need a routine to feel safe and secure in their own world, in their own skin, in their own environment, in their own family. You don't have a routine for your kids, you're screwing them.
Yeah.
They need to be safe and secure every minute. And we chose that one event of the day, the dinner. And that's what we built everything else around. It took us a good year or so. Because honestly, when we first got married, I cooked. I would sit down, I'd eat for 2 minutes, and I'd already get up and start clearing. I had no concept of how to sit at a table and have a conversation, except if I was at a social event.
Right.
But at home, I couldn't do that because as a single mother, I was constantly busy. I almost never even sat and ate dinner with my daughter. I would cook for her, and I would be doing a million other things. I was still in school at the time, too.
Right, yeah.
So that's another thing that you lose out on. When you try and juggle and be all things to everyone, and you can't, and so thinking back on that, you used to make me sit at the table and actually have conversation until you were done and your cigarette was done, and that was it. And then I could get up and clear the table.
It was like Grand Central when I got here between you and Nanny and the kid, and it was nuts.
Right.
I almost felt like I was at, McDonald's just grabbing a quick bite.
And that stopped. He made all that stop, and see, but that's another thing that I mean, even before you were able to acknowledge that you were going to be okay as the head of the house and doing all this stuff, you were doing that stuff.
Yeah, there was stuff that just came inherently like, well, this is wrong.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And so even though you were raised in that poor, bad feminist manifesto kind of stuff, you naturally, I always say to him, I knew you were a real man the minute I saw you, even though you didn't yet. Because he was still doing all that. He'd had a lot of relationships where they were so-called equal, 50-50, all that crap, because both of them worked or whatever it was. But, not okay.
Yeah.
So... Because you just can't. And you have to sit and self-examine and what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses. And I think, again, it comes down to picking the right partner, too.
This is another thing I think that goes, though, to that self-examination we're talking about. Because if you don't do that to yourself, you can't identify the qualities in somebody else that you need.
Right. We fill in each other's gaps completely and perfectly. The things that...
Every night.
The things that I don't know how to do, he knows how to do, and he helps me, and vice versa.
Right.
And that's in every way. That's in physically and professionally and emotionally and psychologically and even the other way, every way. So it's just worked out that way for us. But that's because when we met, we knew because... you'd spent, even though you didn't think you were self-examining, you were all that time you were there.
Really?
Sure. It was just in a negative, non-productive way until you learned the tools to make it productive. We all self-examine, but usually it's in a criticizing way.
In a negative way, yeah.
And it's not beneficial. So you have to learn how to do that in a positive way, and you learned that once you got here. I think maybe that's why it didn't take you as long as it would have otherwise. Because you've done so much groundwork already, just not the kind that would fix anything yet.
Right, yeah.
And then you came and you started fixing things, and you're my fixer.
Did I ever? Yeah. Well, we're going to go for a third commercial break, and when we come back, we'll talk more about fixing and, what else?
We got lots of social injustice stories that are a direct result of living in surface relationships and surface lives, you people.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you in 2.
And you're listening to Straight Talk with Kate and Crash on HTLA Radio 1, New York.
What if there was a coffee that was sourced from some of the world's most renowned growing regions, abundant with rich, fertile soil? What if this coffee was picked at the perfect moment, then packed meticulously and shipped carefully to be roasted under the watchful eye of coffee masters? What if it was expertly blended, ground, and sealed, ensuring maximum flavor and freshness, then brewed in small batches and always served fresh within 20 minutes, just the way you like it? Now, what if this coffee just happened to be the coffee you already know and love? Tim Hortons. Always fresh. Always great tasting coffee.
White Rum has a new captain. Introducing the all-new Captain Morgan White Rum, 5 times distilled for a smoother taste.
When we arrived at our hotel in New York, the porter was so incredibly careless with our bags. And the room they gave us, it was beautiful. A broom closet. But the worst part was the shower. My wife drying herself with the Egyptian cotton towels. Shower curtain defined that whole vacation for her. Don't just visit New York. Visit TripAdvisor New York.
With millions of reviews, a visit to TripAdvisor makes any destination better.
I've been so inspired by being in New York because everything from what people are wearing on the street to the way they're interacting with each other, to drive through the West Village at night and you see a couple kissing on the street, or you see someone fighting outside their apartment, or you see so much humanity on a daily basis that even if you're not inspired by your own life that day, you can be inspired by someone else's life.
You got that long hair, slicked back, white t-shirt, and I got that good girl face and a tight little skirt. And when we go crashing down, we come back every time, 'cause we never go out of style. We never go out of style. Take me out.
There's only one place to get more Taylor.
Man, I've been to a lot of places over these past 50 years. Seen the whole true north strong and free. 'Cause I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere. I've been to Cooksville, Stouffville, Baynesville, Bowmanville, Bonnieville, Unionville, Oakville, Dunville, Brockville, Boucherville, Melville, Drummondville, Kentville, Grenville, Morinville, Maryville, Parksville, Stephenville, Sackville, Spring Hill, Westville, Walkerville, hanging on a windowsill. Hey! He said, wow, that's a lot of places. I said, hang on, there's more. I've been to Moncton, Picton, Shannon, Vernon, Stellarton, Hamilton, Nipigon, Nobleton, Yorkton, Brighton, Bolton, Beaverton, Brandon, Edmonton, Walkerton, Wyerton, Granby, Miramichi, Charlottetown, Burnaby, Yellowknife, Whitehorse, Corner Brook, Nunavut. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. I crossed the prairies bare, man. I breathed the mountain air. I've traveled, I've done my share, man. I've been everywhere, man. Check it out. Ottawa, Wawa, Mattawa, Chippewa, Moose Jaw, Oshawa.
You've got it locked to New York's best talk, HTLA Radio 1.
Or as we like to call it, HTLA Radio Fun. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we're back on the big program tonight. Monday Night Straight Talk for Monday the 9th of March 2015. And still 52 degrees in Central Park right now and clear.
Awesome.
Melt, you bastard, melt.
Bleep. Now we can say that word, but... yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, there you go.
Yes. Right. So
social injustice. Yes.
A little bit of time left. Well,
and how it pertains to what we just spoke of.
Right. Well, look, we made a cognitive choice. And, we also just briefly have to mention that, having a schedule is not going to fix everything. We still struggle constantly because we live in a society that frowns upon traditional marriages and traditional roles in those marriages.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And, I have a huge issue because I can't raise my children traditionally. I have to explain to them all these things that they should never have to be exposed to.
Right.
So I don't have the privilege of raising my child in a traditional way.
Sure. Yeah.
But, I was still raised in the same world everybody else was as you. And you've overcome your, feminist manifesto, as we called it, being raised by a single mother and all that kind of stuff. And I still struggle, though, because, as having been a single mother who, while never feminist, per se, I always knew that you would come someday and I would have that life. At least that was always the hope. I just spent that, I just spent that time in the interim bettering myself for when you got here, But I never considered myself a feminist either.
Right.
I just did what I had to do to take care of us. But,
sure.
I never made it a goal. I wasn't wearing that badge of, well, I'm an independent woman kind of thing.
Yeah.
I always felt super wrong, being happy about that. That felt like a failing to me, a failure to be independent in that way.
Right.
But it is still a struggle because I'm still a control freak and I still constantly step on his toes and undermine his authority and do things that I shouldn't.
Yeah, but then you get a spanking.
Well, that's our agreed upon that's part of that other part of the lifestyle thing we were talking about. But,
sure.
It's a very traditional domestic thing. But there is those real issues that you're going to face if you're going to try to be a 50-50 and now 100% in your own way marriage.
Right.
You're going to have to understand that about your partner, that they're going to be struggling with those issues, those remnants of those issues from prior times too.
Sure, yeah.
And it's just the way it is. And now with, even traditionally patriarchal countries and doing all this stuff, celebrating, Women's Day and all this kind of stuff, it's just making it infinitely harder. But the reality is that, even in this country, there's way more traditional families than people would like to think.
Oh, sure. That you just never hear about it because it's not the popular peddled
right. We don't need a parade
mass media
and we don't
thing.
Need to do that. We're just right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why. And having said that,
well, and if you stop and think about the business aspect alone of this whole movement, nobody in any conversation I've ever heard anywhere about the feminist movement, the women's movement, equal rights, equal pay, equal this, equal that, nowhere in that entire history of hearing about that movement has anybody ever said who's really making out like a bandit for the whole damn thing. And I can tell you who that is. It's like with anything. When you look at anything and you have questions about it,
trace the money.
Follow the money.
Follow the money. That's right.
Well, this is no different. This whole feminine equality thing. What is the number one thing that these women are bitching about? They're bitching about getting paid 70% less than men. Why is that? Well, now that they've been allowed to vote and been allowed to go out and get jobs, of course, what's happened? Well, more and more and more and more jobs are taken away from the people who originally held them, which were men. So now we've got this, we've essentially doubled the workforce, at the very least added a third to the workforce. What does that do for all the companies out there selling anything from insurance to food to entertainment to you name it? Now they've got this huge new untapped market of more cash flow.
Right.
And because they're pushing this women independence thing, and which they all clamor onto that bus and take it on down the road because, it's women getting independence. Well, no, it's not. you're actually being pulled into the same corporate slavery that all us men have already been in. What do you do with your money, ladies? Where does your money go?
Yeah.
Stop and look at it. Well, you're buying stuff. You're buying cars. You're buying houses.
Good point.
Because all these women who have equality, well, damn it, they can own land. They're going out and buying homes. They're going out and buying businesses. They're starting their own businesses. All of these things, where's all that money going? It's going into corporate America. That's who's making out. And, well, even further to that, more to a global scale, it's going to China. But just ignore that because, the corporations, they have their corporation-y things, and they're doing their corporate stuff. So you just shut up and keep working and keep spending that money in all those places because that's what they want.
That's an extraordinary point, yeah.
Well, you're telling me any of the Fortune 500 companies wouldn't be behind equality for women? Absolutely. Of course.
Right.
It's more paychecks out there that are going to come to us one way or another.
True. But unfortunately, it's also what's causing all the financial, things that have been in place for hundreds of years to crumble and all that stuff, too. I relate everything
I would submit
to the deterioration of society.
I would submit that is simply because the crime rates are drastically increasing because the kids are not taught the basic
Well, that's what I'm saying, yeah.
character and moral and ethical.
Everything.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And they don't care about anything unless it's theirs.
And I've had people say to me, well, you're benefiting, you own a radio station and you own companies and all this stuff. I said, yes, I do, but my husband and I own them together.
Well, and again, like I've always said about rights and responsibilities, just because you have more assets doesn't mean it's easier to manage.
Oh, my God, no. But to me, what do I always say? Home and family comes first. If it was a choice, it would be a no-brainer.
Right.
Absolutely a no-brainer.
So what you're saying is you could quit your job tomorrow for HTLA and just go and 100% be the house mom again and be completely fulfilled with that.
Completely and totally, and you know that. But, here's another thing that women need to understand, again, about the self-examination and picking the right partner. I never have to choose. You would never make me choose that. I will always be free to pursue my creative endeavors and all that kind of thing first, as long as the house and the kids are taken care of first.
Right.
You have to have a husband that supports your dreams and that wants you to get ahead and do those kind of things too. But if you're going to choose to marry and you're going to choose to have children, your choice is made for you. They come first. And that's it. End of story.
Yeah.
And a little bit of a side note, I think I talked about this in Sex and the Kitty when we had this show too. People don't understand that the kids don't come first. Your husband still has to come first. Because if not, then your kids are getting a real crappy example of what a mutually respectful marriage is.
Right.
You have to nurture the thing that started it all, the thing that's the foundation for everything.
Yeah.
And that's it. Of course, if your husband's a real scumbag and all this kind of stuff, well, obviously, you're going to have a little tougher time with that. But, if you have a real relationship and a real marriage and it's, mutually respectful and mutually supportive, then your kids need to see that your husband and you are a united front and you're going after the same goals together. You're moving in the same direction together. You're supporting each other unequivocally and unconditionally.
Well, and really isn't that what picking your life mate is about?
Well, it should be, but everybody goes with what the frickin' media says.
Yeah.
And I've seen commercials and I've seen television shows where, the wife is constantly undermining the husband in front of the kids and all this kind of stuff like that. And it's a horrifyingly bad example.
Well, look at that documentary that Ron Howard did.
Sure. Look at what they're doing to sitcom dads and how they're portraying them now.
Yeah.
They're all portraying them like useless idiots that are just there as sperm machines. And, the wives don't really need them because they're completely capable.
Yeah, and they're already screwing somebody else at work, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a horrible, horrible example for what families are and families should be. It just really is. And the husband doesn't have the ultimate authority anymore like he should. He just should. And that doesn't mean that you make decisions without consulting me or that my opinion doesn't matter.
No.
Well, no, we discuss everything,
Mm-hmm.
But I married you, and in that marrying you, I trusted you to be the head of the family and take care of us all.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way it is.
Yeah. So when I'm going to bring that 22-year-old hard buddy home, I always call first and ask if it's okay.
Yes, right, exactly. But even though women will say, well, what if he doesn't make the right decision? And what if he says, that's your job to support him. That's your job to enable him to make the right decisions.
Mhm.
It's your job to, build him up so he's capable of making those decisions and helping him. It's not taking that power and those decisions away from him and doing it yourself. Because that's the wrong answer. That's totally the wrong way to go.
Mhm.
You don't make men feel like men that way.
Well, and another thing too about this, this whole International Women's Day, this is something else that kind of goes back to everybody feeling the need that they have to be celebrated. You have to be celebrated to be a woman. You have to be celebrated to be a gay man. You have to be celebrated to be black. And the thing that kind of gets me is never before has that been what it is. It's never been that. But I have this theory, and I think the theory is that, and this is fairly evident if you look on places like Facebook. How many? And I know you've got a bunch of them. How many Facebook accounts are HRH so and so?
Oh God,
His Royal Highness, her Royal Highness.
Yeah.
I have never. I'm not kidding. I have never seen so much royalty,
right,
as I do on Facebook. Everybody's
I
goddamn
know.
king, queen, prince, or princess of Doofius or
it's
wherever the hell they're from.
True.
Well,
But why is
people,
that?
people. Well, I'm
Yeah.
about to get to that.
Yeah.
People that are on the internet, of course, oh, geez, now I've got this thing, and I'm somebody special. I've got a blog, or I've got this profile page, and I can put these pictures up, and I look good, so I should be good. I should be king of Morocco, or I should be,
Right.
And they just make all this fake crap, and
Yeah.
there's a certain amount of people that can defraud you face to face. There's a whole hell of a lot more people that can defraud you digitally.
Sure.
And, you just see all these sites of all these people that think they're all that, and they're celebrities, yet you've never heard of them.
Right.
Or the show they're on, or they're great country music talents.
No,
but
I love the filmmakers who have the iPhones, and just because they say they own a production company. And,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Well, see, and this is kind of what I'm saying, is that ever since the internet, we've got this situation where people are
legends in their own minds.
Well, not their own minds anymore.
Oh.
Now they're legends digitally. Oh, here's my
virtually. Yeah.
Here's my EPK.
They're virtual legends. Yeah.
Right, and then you look at that and you're like, no, I know that show. You didn't work on it, or no, I know who's in this movie. You're not in it.
Right.
Oh, well, I was uncredited. Well, then you're not in it.
Right. Oh, God.
And then of course there's that whole thing now with people buying IMDb credits.
Right. You've
Yeah.
talked about that on Film 101. Yeah.
Absolutely, because what that's doing is that's discrediting that industry.
Yeah, don't think that everything you see and read on IMDb is true. You can actually buy yourself a spot and a credit on a film in IMDb, so it's not reliable anymore.
And of course, the other thing is too is that that's one thing that I've always hated about IMDb is that it's not a credible source.
Right. Okay, but we're going off the topic here.
Well, kind of, but not really, because what this digital age, I think, is teaching everybody now, seeing as how we're not teaching things of character and importance anymore. We're not
Right.
teaching honesty and integrity and any of these kinds of things. We're not teaching honor.
Nobody's home to teach it.
Nobody's home to teach it. But what we are doing, what are we doing? Well, we're spending ridiculous amounts of time on the internet with our own personal blogs and our profile
Right,
pages
so
and this,
everybody thinks they're special, right?
and of course I've seen this before too. People on Facebook, somebody will do an upgrade to their pictures or something, where they've got this really cool picture of themselves or something they'll put up, and everybody's like, "Oh, that's awesome!" And it'll get like 273 likes or something. Next thing you know, you'll find other people that are friends of that friend doing the same thing, and
Right.
it's the one up thing. We gotta keep one
Keep up with the Joneses, but digitally now, right?
Right.
Exactly.
And I think people are more concerned now with their public image, so much so that now we're just sitting there online pointing at people. Hey, you're a VP for that airline and you just said something about black people, you're fired. Or
oh God, don't even go there.
You've got the 17-year-old hot blonde daughter, so we're going to make conversations in your tweet congratulating her for a baseball game or whatever. We're going to make sexual innuendo on there. Oh well, I'm just going to go and get you fired. And get you kicked out of school.
Sorry, that's wrong. People still can say whatever the heck they want to say about your kid.
Yeah.
I mean, give me a break. Really? How about you teach your kid to ignore that stuff? Or how about this? Don't put them on Facebook in the first place.
Well, yeah, there you go, right?
Or whatever it is.
Listen, we're going to go for our last commercial break. Then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the new show coming up on Wednesday, The Spotlight.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the things you can look forward to for that coming up. And also, of course, our new show, The Lifestyle. That'll be coming up too. And Home Talk.
Yeah.
Home Talk.
Woo-hoo, finally.
The Home Talk coming.
Spring has sprung. With our spring cleaning episode. That's going to be our first episode.
There you go.
Yeah.
So we'll be back in 2.
And you're listening to Straight Talk with Kate and Crash on HTLA Radio 1, New York.
Good morning. Welcome to Tim Hortons Cafe and Bake Shop, where fresh always tastes better. What can I make you this morning?
How about our new flatbread breakfast paninis? Made fresh, just for you, with your favorite breakfast ingredients on maple or multigrain flatbread, then grilled to hot, melted perfection. Just $2.99. Who couldn't warm up to that?
Tim Hortons Cafe and Bake Shop, where quality really does meet value.
I stood outside assessing the situation. I knew it could be rough in there, but how rough? There was no way to know for sure.
Hey, guys.
Daddy, it's pink!
But hey, a new house, it's a blank canvas, and we got a great one. Thanks to a really low mortgage rate from Navy Federal Credit Union.
Pink?
So she's a princess. You got a problem with that?
Hoorah! Hoorah!
4 million members, 4 million stories. Navy Federal Credit Union.
You walked into the hotel as a 5. But when she saw the room, you turned into a weird 7. When she saw the rooftop pool, you went to 11. You two should probably get a room. Oh, that's right. You already did. At Planet Earth's #1 accommodation site, Booking.com. Booking.yeah.
I've been so inspired by being in New York because everything from what people are wearing on the street to the way they're interacting with each other, to drive through the West Village at night and you see a couple kissing on the street, or you see someone fighting outside their apartment, or you see so much humanity on a daily basis that even if you're not inspired by your own life that day, you can be inspired by someone else's life.
You got that long hair, slicked back, white t-shirt, and I got that good girl face and a tight little skirt. And when we go crashing down, we come back every time, 'cause we never go out of style. We never go out of style. Take me
There's only one place to get more Taylor.
Man, I've been to a lot of places over these past 50 years. Seen the whole true north strong and free. 'Cause I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere. I've been to Cooksville, Stouffville, Baynesville, Bowmanville, Bonnieville, Unionville, Oakville, Dunville, Brockville, Boucherville, Melville, Drummondville, Kentville, Grenville, Morinville, Maryville, Parksville, Stephenville, Sackville, Spring Hill, Westville, Walkerville, hanging on a windowsill. Hey! He said, wow, that's a lot of places. I said, hang on, there's more. I've been to Monton, Picton, Shannon, Vernon, Stellarton, Hamilton, Nipigon, Nobleton, Yorkton, Brighton, Bolton, Beaverton, Brandon, Edmonton, Walkerton, Wyerton, Granby, Miramichi, Charlottetown, Burnaby, Yellowknife, Whitehorse, Corner Brook, none of it. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. I crossed the prairies bare, man. I breathed the mountain air. I've traveled, I've done my share, man. I've been everywhere, man. Check it out. Ottawa, Wawa, Mattawa, Chippewa, Moose Jaw.
HTLA Radio 1.
That's right, Kissy, and don't you forget it. Yeah, damn it.
That a shillelagh.
Well, welcome back to the Straight Talk Monday night here, Springtime in the City episode for this Monday the 9th of March 2015. It's getting a little colder now, 49 degrees in Central Park right now, but still
I can live with it.
clear skies and melting. That's all I care about.
That's right.
It's got to be melting.
Rainy day for me tomorrow. Woo, woo, woo. It better be. I'm going to be so disappointed if they're lying. I love my rain.
Well, the weather people don't lie, dear. They just don't know any better.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. So if you're just joining us, thanks for joining us. And, of course, the show is Springtime in the City. Tonight we're kind of having a free-for-all. Been talking about social injustices and traditional lifestyles versus what we have these days. And International Women's Day. Oh, yeah.
Right. Well, I think the whole reason we started talking about the traditional lifestyle thing anyway is because, you know, we're getting ready to roll our new show.
Well, we are. And
Right.
it's going to be awesome. It's not just going to be about our lifestyle.
No, it's not. That's our first episode will be. But then subsequently, we're going to have guests that are experts in whatever
Various.
lifestyle we're speaking about that week. Right.
Yeah.
So.
It's been a good Monday night Straight Talk, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, okay.
Yeah. I thought we were going to talk about the shows.
Well, we are.
Oh, okay.
God damn it.
Ah. Bleep. Bleep, bleep.
You don't bleep, goddammit. Yes. So the show that we're talking about, of course, is our brand new one for Wednesdays to replace our Film 101 and Real Talk. As we're going to expand the Wednesday variety a little more for you with our new show, The Spotlight.
The Spotlight. Yes. We're going to shine the light on all things senseless and super. Super and senseless. Special and senseless.
Super special and senseless.
Special and super and senseless. No, we're going to have some segments, and we're going to discuss, you know, some of the things this world has to offer every week. And, you know, one of the segments is going to be, you know, some special items we've come across. And then there's going to be the senseless items.
Here it is. I have it right from our list from our pre-production meeting. The tagline is, of course, shining the light on the special, the senseless, and the spectacular.
Okay, there we go. And that's what the Spotlight's going to be about. With Kate and Crash, of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
They're a good pair. We should keep them together.
I think so. Well, you know, the idea really came from, you know, your Coffee and Cigarettes show. We just love your, you know, your roundtable with your celebrity guests and talking about the topics of the day. And we think that's just amazing. So we're going to pull like a bunch of stuff from, you know, the world at large and do a weekly kind of thing.
Right.
Right. So we're going to be doing that. And that should be a lot of fun. It's still in the entertainment vein, you know, but it's going to encompass all manner of things, you know. And I guess I would put on this stupid category that one story. And this is, to me, you know, another thing that everybody just thinks they can do what they want in this world today.
Yeah.
You know, like this woman here, you know, she, like I was saying earlier, if you were tuned in, she slept with a black guy. She got pregnant and, you know, she's giving up the baby for adoption, not because she's single and not married, but because the kid's black. And she doesn't want to raise him in her white world. Because what she says is African American men are incarcerated at a much higher rate as opposed to men of other races. They earn less money and they don't have as many opportunities in life. So why would she subject herself to raising a child that's going to turn out like that?
Wow.
Yeah. So this is the world that we live in now. You know, it doesn't matter that the kid's half her.
I guess she hasn't gotten a T-shirt because Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, you know, but this is just, I can't believe the stories are even here. I mean, like there's even a page for, and these are real stories. They are not just, you know, jokey kind of thing. And then here's another woman who, again, is a single mother, but she wants her kids to all grow up to be gay because then they'll be happier. You know, they're going to be happier if they're gay.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Her children have been the high point of her life, and happiness to her is the only thing in life that matter. She's got 2 children, 10 and 8, a son and a daughter. And obviously at their ages, they don't have, the concept of a romantic relationship at all.
Yeah.
But in a few years, they're going to, start paying closer attention to, dating life and all that kind of stuff. Her ex-husband is not a fan of this idea at all, but her partner, Rachel, is a lawyer.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, and she actually helped the mother win primary custody of the children. But because of this, her children don't have to be constantly barraged by the ex's negative rhetoric with the gay issue.
Oh, so being traditional and straight is negative rhetoric now.
Yeah, exactly. She's gotten her children involved with the Pride movement. And she feels like, and she says this is her own words, the key is to get them brainwashed into seeing same-sex relationships on the same level as heterosexual relationships before they get into a relationship themselves. All right.
That's like saying, we must exterminate all Jews because they are Jews.
Wait, check this out and listen to me. Listen to me, the girlfriend of Rachel, you dumb bitch. Now,
bitch is bleep, bleep, bleep,
yeah,
bleep.
Not as much as the GD one. But anyway, studies have shown, according to this dumb bitch, that same-sex couples have a lower divorce rate, a higher standard of living. Sorry, I doubt you. And
lower divorce rate just because only recently has marriage in some states been recognized.
Wait. Check this out. There's more. Studies have shown that the same-sex couples have a lower divorce rate, a higher standard of living, and are much happier in general. They're healthier, and they generally lead better lives. And she understands that North Carolina is not a good place to raise gay children. You think? But, that's why they thought about moving to California, where it's the land of fruit and nuts. They'll fit right in, and that's me saying that, too. My Zitzy Ann used to say that. She used to live in L.A. and before she passed, and she said it's the land of fruit and nuts. Yeah. Anyway, it's true, though. Everybody who lives there knows that, too. That's why we live in New York. But anyway, and this includes painting her son's nails and taking the daughter to biking club meetings and taking both the kids to pride and cultural events.
And we wonder where gender fluidity came from.
Yeah, sorry. She needs to be shot. She needs to be shot. And there's a lot of hate mail in the, shit. Are you mentally challenged?
Well, this is the other thing, too. On a lot of stories like this, especially lately in the last 3 to 6 months, I'd say, all of these kind of stories that are really pushing this LGBT agenda, pushing this equality for women agenda, pushing this acceptance for my gender fluidity agenda, et cetera, Black Lives Matter, all these things, they've all...
I'll sum it up in the next story quickly, too.
Yeah, you've got about 15 seconds.
Okay, well, I'm going to sum it up because this chick wants extreme catcalling to be made illegal, and that anybody who catcalls at women should be thrown. Yeah, exactly.
It's a hate crime now, yeah.
Sorry.
Hey, baby, nice ass. Oh, you're going away for 30 years. Yeah.
I mean, that's just stupid. And she's calling that it's just comes barely short of physical abuse that can have a lasting effect on a woman's life. Yeah, if she's hot and she's got any kind of self-esteem, sure. But if you're big, fat, ugly, and feminist, of course you're going to take offense to it. Well, you don't have to worry about it. It's probably likely the people that don't have to worry about it.
But you don't understand. We, as a society now, are supposed to accept people who are 150 pounds overweight as healthy, happy human beings.
Yeah, they can kiss my ass, too. Listen, check this out. Wait. Seriously. This is one more thing. The victim says that it's shameful and that, what's next? People are going to tell you to avoid areas where you might be catcalled or that you should dress appropriately. It's like telling a gay person not to kiss their partner in public or for a black man to avoid sundown towns. Well, I'll tell you what. If it's worked in the past, it's going to keep working. So, again, stereotypes are based in a little bit of grain of truth. So that's not bad advice for any of them. If they want to avoid the whole issue, why don't you just be morally appropriate in public?
There you go.
And then you don't have to worry about it. How about that? Then I don't have to worry about it. You know, is that such a big deal? I mean, my husband and I have an alternative lifestyle, but we don't do it in public. You know?
Public floggings.
Well, you know, we could and we do. And I'm sure that if I was too mouthy in public, you wouldn't care and it would happen there. But I don't do that because I'm morally appropriate in public.
Well, there you go.
So there you go. Right. There you go. Now you can go.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
We never even got to talk about the show.
Yeah, we did.
The Spotlight show.
I was working on it.
I'm sorry. But you know how I feel about all this kind of stuff.
I know.
I think that's just it in a nutshell, right? Be morally acceptable in public.
Well, and that goes right back to what I was saying about learn some manners, learn some respect for other people and other cultures and other religions and other everything. Have a little bit of integrity. Learn what honor means, and maybe grab some. That's what I'm talking about. It's because we've left those things that we're now seeing more and more of this stuff that's, you know, absolutely ridiculous. Really, like you're going to start a movement against catcalling?
Yeah, it's just
what happened to 25 years ago when a good-looking woman or otherwise would go by a construction site and would expect that would be coming.
Of course.
I've known women who have been offended when they didn't get catcalled.
Right, exactly. I think I would be. I would think I lost it. I lost my mojo. What the hell? Uh-oh.
Right.
You know, it's just...
But it's not a compliment. It's crushing their souls.
Grow up, for God's sakes. Grow up. Yeah, grow up. Anyway, right, there you go.
Oh, and then the complete shock about my liberal parents disowning me after I told them about my transformation. Well, what did you expect?
Well, no, they're liberal. They should have expected it, actually. They probably brainwashed the kid into it, you know. No, you know, that is a hard thing. People don't consider the parents, and they don't consider the feelings of the parents either. You know, I'm all for everybody being whatever makes them happy as long as they don't hurt themselves or anybody else. You know, but, you know, when you have a child and you raise it and you love it, and I didn't have my kids for me. I'm not one of those parents that I was desperate and I had a void and I needed to have a kid to fill it. It didn't happen that way, you know. So whatever my children want to do and be to be happy, that's fine, you know. But I still have dreams for my children, and I still have hopes, and I still, you know, want them to have all the things in life that I've been blessed to have, you know, in spades. You know, so it is hurtful when you think of the thought of, you know, your kid having to endure, you know, all the things this world is going to heap upon them if they make those choices too.
Okay, but if I may, for a moment, when you say that, you know, you're forgetting a very, I think, important thing.
Okay.
The oldest child you have right now is 14.
Right.
Okay? It's not like you have a 14 and a 30-year-old.
No, thank God.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
The stuff you're hearing from your 14-year-olds right now, that's just stuff they're saying either to get reaction.
Well,
because
that's what we say. That's what we're hoping, I
kids
think.
do that.
Right. What if it isn't, though? Well, it's not a phase.
But and you see, you know, like just like that other mother, they're brainwashing hers into LGBT. The traditional straight parents, who you know, the few that are still around and are still married and you know are raising those kids together, they're not sitting there brainwashing them actively to be straight and be God-fearing and all this other crap that goes along with the traditional lifestyles.
Right.
They're not doing that.
No.
So those kids, what are their influences in their world? And I'm talking about all those other 14-year-old kids and their schools and all that stuff.
Right.
They're falling victim to these other kids who have these gender fluid ideas and all this other shit. And it seems, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, there's a lot
right.
of that.
So then what do you got? You got these kids who are bent, going and influencing their peers, and now their peers are coming home all traditionally well-adjusted, yet
now
they're sounding
screwed up. Yeah.
They're not screwed up. They're just saying this stuff to get a rise out of their parents.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. What if they're not, though? That's not dying. What if they're not?
Well, you can't convince me, I don't care how good you are, that, you know, only within the last 30 years has the human race been afflicted with gender fluidity all of a sudden. Like we said at the beginning of the show, there's a penis and a vagina. There's no third sex.
Right. I know.
The need for Facebook to offer up 59 other options plus a 60th option where you fill in the blank in case they haven't covered it.
Right.
What does that say about us?
No, I know.
I think the species needs to die out, to be totally honest.
I always said the pendulum's going to swing so far, it's going to just bulldoze everything like a wrecking ball, and we're going to have to restart from scratch.
Yeah.
Because again, the stereotypes are there because there's a grain of truth in them. Are they right? Is this world perfect?
No.
But that's just the way it is.
Well, this is what I'm kind of saying. Like, whoever came out and expected it to be.
I know, but that's everybody else, apparently. All these people we're talking about.
No, because
the
people in my generation certainly do not expect the world to be perfect. I'm sorry, they don't.
No, not in ours.
No.
But these people aren't of our generation, or they're of some fringe part where I don't know what their thinking is or what the circumstances
I don't know
led them to.
anybody in any other culture, in any other country, in any other part of this planet that thinks that, except these new generations, and it's primarily from North America.
I don't know. And is there a solution? I don't know. But it's definitely, fodder to think about or not. Or, do you just press on and go on with your life? And generally we do, until it impinges on our life.
Well, but yes, until it maybe directly impinges on our life. But, more and more every day we are seeing more of these social stories coming out that both you and our jaws just dropped to the floor.
I know.
Really? You've dropped that low now that you're making a thing out of this, whatever this is?
Right.
And it's like you say, we've got so many more things that are way more important, light years more important to talk about.
Absolutely.
Than 60 choices for your sex on Facebook.
Right, or about, still can't get over that woman who aborted her baby because it was a boy. And she's a feminist, and she wasn't going to bring another misogynistic monster into the world. Her words. I'm not going to bring another misogynistic monster into this world.
No. But you'll have sex with one.
Right.
Because you didn't get pregnant with a woman.
Right. You see? Wow. Yeah, no. See, the whole entire thing is flawed. It's just all flawed. Completely and totally.
So what do you do about it?
I don't know. You roll the theme song, and next week we interview our celebrities and talk about movies.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, there we go. That's what we do. Yes. Well, tonight has been fun. I love these free-for-alls because I get to spew and say bad words I'm not allowed to say other times.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So, I would like to thank HTLA Radio 1 for allowing us to bring you the issues that matter with the people that matter most. To whom they do. Yes, to whom they matter most. That's right. We do. We meet so many great people and awesome people and share so many awesome things. And it's all coming. So don't you go anywhere in the next weeks. Now, a huge thank you to our sponsors and supporters. And, of course, we are nothing without you, our listeners. And remember, you don't have to agree with us. Everybody's entitled to have their own point. But, you have to agree or disagree to have a point. So it's all good. We all love everybody. It's all good in the end of the day. On the end of the day, we're all the same on the inside. So there you go.
There you go.
Last but not least, thank you to my producer, co-host, and traditional dominant husband. I worship you always and love you, love you, love you. Christopher John Taylor. Now, be sure to be here next Monday because you never know who's going to show up on Straight Talk to talk straight. Be your one and only too, and whatever you do. See you next time. Good night.
We're New York's best talk radio, HTLA Radio 1.